3 minutes. That was all she asked for. 3 minutes from a man who spent millions of dollars every single day without thinking twice. 3 minutes from a billionaire CEO whose signature could change the lives of thousands of employees. 3 minutes from a man she had quietly watched for years. As she lay in a hospital bed with tears rolling down her cheeks, the elderly janitor reached for his hand and whispered a plea that would haunt him forever. She begged him not to leave. She begged him to stay beside her just a little longer. But instead of sitting down, instead of offering comfort to a woman who appeared to be facing her final moments alone, he gently pulled his hand away, glanced at his expensive watch, and walked out of the room. What happened next would expose a truth so shocking that it would leave one of the most powerful businessmen in the city questioning everything he believed about success, status, and the value of another human being. This story begins inside one of the most successful companies in America. At the top stood Ethan Caldwell, a billionaire entrepreneur whose rise to wealth had become the subject of business magazines, television interviews, and leadership seminars across the country. To the outside world, Ethan was the definition of success. He owned luxury penthouses, private jets, and investments worth billions of dollars. Every decision he made seemed to generate more money than most people could earn in a lifetime. Investors admired him. Competitors feared him. Employees respected him. Yet there was one criticism that followed him wherever he went. Many people believed Ethan had become so focused on achievement that he had forgotten how to connect with ordinary people. Before we go deeper into this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Among the thousands of employees who worked for Ethan's company was a janitor named Margaret Brooks. Most people barely noticed her. She arrived before sunrise and often stayed long after everyone else had gone home. She cleaned conference rooms, emptied trash bins, polished floors, and quietly disappeared into the background of corporate life. Younger employees often walked past her without making eye contact. Executives rarely knew her name. To them, she was simply part of the building. Yet Margaret carried herself with remarkable grace. She greeted everyone with kindness and never complained about her work. What nobody knew was that Margaret had a reason for being there. For nearly 4 years, Margaret observed everything. She watched how managers treated receptionists. She listened to conversations in hallways. She noticed which executives thanked support staff and which ones acted as though they were invisible. Most importantly, she observed Ethan Caldwell. While the public praised him as a visionary leader, Margaret wanted to understand the person behind the headlines. She wanted to know whether his success had strengthened his character or simply increased his confidence in his own importance. One Monday morning, employees arrived to unsettling news. Margaret had collapsed while working late the previous evening. An ambulance had rushed her to a nearby hospital. Many workers expressed concern, but after a few minutes they returned to their routines. Deadlines still existed. Meetings still needed to happen. Business continued moving forward. Margaret's absence became just another topic that faded throughout the day. But inside the hospital, Margaret repeatedly asked one person, Ethan Caldwell. At first, the request confused everyone. Why would a janitor want to see the company's billionaire CEO? Hospital staff eventually contacted his office. Ethan initially declined. His schedule was packed with investor meetings and negotiations. Yet after several requests, he agreed to stop by for a brief visit. When Ethan entered the room, he found Margaret looking weak and exhausted. Her breathing appeared shallow. Her voice trembled. For a moment, the powerful executive seemed uncomfortable. He was accustomed to boardrooms, contracts, and financial reports. He was far less comfortable confronting human vulnerability. Margaret looked directly into his eyes. She told him she had one final request. She asked him to stay, just a few more minutes, just until she felt less afraid. The room became silent. Ethan checked his watch. Then he explained that he had important commitments waiting for him. He said he was sorry, wished her well, and walked toward the door. Margaret called after him one last time. But Ethan never turned around. The door closed, and the moment was over. The following morning, Ethan received an unexpected invitation. The message came from Heiress Global Holdings, the largest privately owned corporation in the city. Its founder was a legendary businessman whose wealth exceeded even Ethan's. The invitation requested his immediate presence at the company's headquarters. Curious and slightly excited, Ethan assumed the meeting involved a major partnership opportunity. He arrived at a towering office building, where senior executives escorted him directly to an elegant boardroom. Inside sat some of the most influential business leaders in the region. Then the door opened, and Ethan froze. Walking confidently into the room was Margaret, healthy, smiling, composed. The woman who had appeared to be dying less than 24 hours earlier now stood before him, looking completely different. Ethan struggled to understand what he was seeing. Before he could speak, an older man entered behind her. The room immediately stood. Every executive showed him respect. The man introduced himself as William Brooks, founder of Heiress Global Holdings. Then he revealed a secret that changed everything. Margaret Brooks was his daughter, his only daughter, and the sole heir to one of the largest fortunes in the country. The janitor Ethan had ignored possessed a future inheritance worth billions of dollars. The room remained silent as Ethan processed the revelation. Margaret calmly explained why she had spent years working ordinary jobs under a different identity. She said she wanted to understand how people treated those who appeared to have no influence, no power, and no wealth. She wanted to discover who valued people based on character rather than status. During those years, she witnessed countless acts of kindness from workers earning modest salaries. She saw receptionists helping strangers, maintenance staff supporting co-workers, and junior employees treating everyone with respect. But she also observed something else. She observed leaders whose compassion seemed limited by someone's position. Leaders who only paid attention when there was something to gain. Leaders who viewed human relationships as transactions. Then Margaret looked directly at Ethan. She explained that the hospital visit had never been about illness. It had been a test, not of intelligence, not of business ability, but of empathy. A test that required only a few minutes, a test he had failed. For the first time in years, Ethan Caldwell found himself without a response. The confidence that usually filled every room disappeared. He realized that the woman he had dismissed was not asking for money, influence, or opportunity. She had simply asked for compassion. And he had decided he was too busy. Margaret continued speaking. She told Ethan that wealth can buy comfort, luxury, and influence, but it cannot purchase genuine character. Character reveals itself during moments when there is nothing to gain. It appears in the choices people make when nobody important seems to be watching. The irony was impossible to ignore. Ethan had spent years building a reputation for leadership. Yet a janitor had revealed the one area where he was still poor. The meeting ended shortly afterward. There were no angry confrontations, no dramatic revenge, no public humiliation. Only a lesson that would remain with Ethan long after everyone left the room. In the months that followed, employees began noticing changes. Ethan spent more time listening and less time talking. He learned the names of people he had previously overlooked. He visited departments he rarely entered. He thanked employees whose contributions often went unnoticed. Some people believed the transformation came from embarrassment. Others believed it came from understanding. Perhaps it was both. Because sometimes the most important lessons arrive from the people society overlooks. Sometimes the person cleaning the floor sees more than the person sitting in the corner office. And sometimes a request for 3 minutes can reveal the true value of a human heart. Ethan entered that hospital room believing he was meeting a dying janitor. He left believing he had lost 3 minutes. What he actually lost was an opportunity to demonstrate the kind of person he truly was. And that realization would stay with him far longer than any business deal ever could. Thanks for watching. Please let us know in the comments section what you think about the story and the country you are watching from. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next video.